When you turn 80, something quietly shifts. You start noticing things that you never paid much attention to before. The mornings feel different. The air tastes different. Even time itself feels like it's flowing at a slower rhythm. It's not a bad thing. It's just different. Life at 80 has its own heartbeat. People often say, age is just a number. But that's not entirely true, is it? Because once you hit 80, your body, your mind, and even your emotions start playing by a different set of rules. It's not something you choose. It just happens, whether you like it or not. Still, there's a strange beauty in it. You start to see what really matters. You stop running after what doesn't. And you realize that some changes, though unexpected, are actually small reminders that you've lived a long, meaningful story. The first thing that happens when you turn 80 is your body starts sending you clearer messages. It's almost like it's finally learned how to talk back. You used to ignore little aches and pains before, but now they refuse to be ignored. Your knees might whisper when you stand up, your back might hum when you bend, and your energy, well, it shows up on its own schedule. That's not weakness. That's communication. Your body is telling you, I've served you for 8 decades. Now please take care of me. You notice that you can't rush anymore, and maybe that's a gift in disguise. When you slow down, you start paying attention. You notice the way sunlight spills across your breakfast table. You hear birds you never noticed before. You taste your coffee instead of just drinking it. The world didn't slow down. You did. And suddenly that slowness feels like peace. Then comes the second thing that happens. Your sleep changes. Nights can become longer or shorter, and mornings might come earlier than you expect. You may wake up at 3 a.m. for no reason at all, and you lie there wondering, why can't I sleep like I used to? But it's not a punishment. It's just your body's rhythm adjusting. Melatonin, the hormone that helps you sleep, decreases with age. So the nights get lighter. The sleep gets shorter. But what you gain is something else. The quiet hours before dawn, where everything feels still. Many seniors describe those early hours as sacred. That's when memories come back, or when you think about people you love, or just watch the first light of day and realize you're still here, breathing, thinking, alive. You start making peace with the night. You stop fighting it. You understand that rest isn't always about sleeping. It's about allowing your mind to settle. Now, let's talk about the third thing that happens when you turn 80. This one is emotional, and it surprises most people. You begin to see friendships differently. Some of your oldest friends are no longer around. Some have moved away, others have passed on. And sometimes loneliness sneaks in quietly. It doesn't always show up as sadness. It shows up as silence. You find yourself thinking about the people you used to talk to every week, the laughter that used to fill the house. Now, the phone rings less often, the house feels bigger. But here's what's beautiful about that stage. You start realizing that connection doesn't always mean presence. You carry people inside you. Every story you've shared, every smile, every hug, they live inside your memory like small flames that never go out. And you also start to appreciate new kinds of companionship. Maybe it's your neighbor waving every morning. Maybe it's the nurse who checks in with a smile. Maybe it's the grandchild who sends you photos from college. You realize that love never leaves. It just changes its shape. Something else begins to happen too. You start to think less about what people think of you. When you were younger, you might have worried about appearance, about reputation, about success. But now, those worries melt away like fog in the morning sun. You become free in a way you never were before. At 80, you don't chase approval anymore. You just want comfort, kindness, and truth. You wear what feels good. You eat what makes you happy. You say what you mean. You laugh at things you used to take too seriously. That's not age. It's wisdom. The kind that only comes after 8 decades of living and learning. Now, the fourth thing that happens when you turn 80 is related to memory. Memory becomes like an old bookshelf. Some books are missing, some are misplaced, but the ones that remain become treasures. You might forget what you had for lunch yesterday, but you'll never forget the song that played at your wedding or the first time you held your child. That's how memory works. It keeps what the heart refuses to let go. Scientists say that emotional memories tend to stay stronger than factual ones. And that's why, even when names and dates slip away, the feelings remain. The smell of rain might suddenly remind you of your childhood home. A certain song might bring tears before you even know why. That's your brain saying, I remember who you were, and I still know who you are. It's also why gratitude becomes such a powerful tool at this age. When you focus on the memories that bring joy instead of loss, your brain literally changes how it processes time. You begin to feel lighter, more peaceful, even with less energy than before. So instead of being frustrated with forgetfulness, many 80-year-olds learn to smile at it. They realize that memory isn't about perfection, it's about emotion. And now we reach the fifth thing that happens once you turn 80. This one is deep, but it's also beautiful. You begin to understand life's endings. At 80, you've seen enough to know that everything, every chapter, every season, has an end. And instead of fearing it, you start to accept it. You begin to focus on meaning rather than time. You start asking, what kind of mark did I leave behind? Did I love well? Did I forgive enough? This awareness doesn't make you sad. It makes you more alive. Because you realize that every new morning is borrowed time, a gift that many never get to see. You notice that you're no longer rushing toward the future. You're savoring the present. Even the little things become sacred. The sound of laughter, the smell of soup on the stove, the feeling of a hand holding yours. These moments become the heartbeat of your day, and when you talk to others, your words carry more weight, because they come from someone who has lived. Someone who has seen what matters and what doesn't. You become the storyteller, the keeper of wisdom, the calm voice that reminds everyone around you to slow down and cherish life. That's something no doctor, no scientist, no young person can replicate, because it's earned through living, through heartbreaks and victories, through quiet mornings and sleepless nights, through love that never truly ends. Once you turn 80, you begin to live life on your own terms. You don't have to prove anything anymore. You've already done enough. You are enough. Your body changes. Your mind changes. Your days look different. But your spirit, that remains unbroken. And that is the secret most people don't tell you. Turning 80 isn't at the end of something. It's the beginning of seeing life for what it really is. Simple, precious, and fleeting. Each sunrise feels softer, each laugh feels louder, and each hug lasts just a little bit longer. You learn that the purpose of life was never to stay young, it was to stay kind, curious, and grateful. Because gratitude at 80 becomes your greatest medicine. It heals what aches inside, it lights up your days, and it makes every moment, no matter how small, feel like a victory. So if you're listening to this and you've reached 80, take a deep breath. Look around. Everything you see, the faces, the memories, the sounds, these are the rewards of time. You've earned them. And if you haven't reached 80 yet, listen carefully. Because this is what waits for you. Not something to fear, but something to understand. Age doesn't take things away from you. It gives you clarity. It takes away noise and leaves behind truth. You begin to see that health isn't just about blood pressure or cholesterol, it's about peace of mind. It's about laughter, gentle movement, and loving the people around you. Even science agrees. The people who live the longest are often not the ones who exercise the most or eat perfectly. They're the ones who stay connected, stay curious, and stay grateful. Because gratitude changes your brain chemistry. It lowers stress, improves sleep, and strengthens your heart. Every thank you is a small act of healing, and every time you smile at someone, you're literally extending your own life. At 80, small acts become great achievements. A short walk, a good laugh, a delicious meal, a phone call with someone you love. You start realizing that the ordinary things were the extraordinary ones all along. When you're in your 80s, something else starts to bloom quietly inside you. It's called acceptance. It doesn't come all at once. It arrives in small moments, like when you look at your reflection and realize you no longer criticize it. You just smile. The wrinkles, the lines, the soft folds of skin, these aren't flaws. They're maps of where you've been. Proof that you laughed, cried, loved, lost, and kept going. You stop wishing to be who you were 40 years ago. Instead, you feel proud of having made it this far. That's no small thing. The truth is, turning 80 means you've already survived so much. You've faced changes that would have scared your younger self. You've said goodbye to people you never thought you could live without, and yet here you are. Still standing, still finding reasons to smile. There's a quiet dignity in that. And something else changes too, your priorities. When you're younger, life feels like a race. You chase money, jobs, status, approval. But at 80, all of that fades into the background. You begin to crave something simpler, peace. You want calm mornings, honest conversations, a good cup of coffee, a warm blanket, someone to check on you, maybe a small laugh over something silly. That's it. That's happiness. It's funny how long it takes for humans to realize that joy was never hidden. It was just buried under noise. And once the noise fades, you finally hear the gentle music of life. People might tell you that growing old means losing control. But in truth, it's the opposite. You finally control the one thing that matters, how you respond to the world. You stop rushing. You stop arguing. You stop trying to win every discussion. Because now, peace feels better than being right. And that's one of the great emotional gifts of turning 80. You gain emotional balance. The storms that used to shake you now pass quietly. You've learned that not everything deserves your energy. Some things are better left to time. That wisdom, calm under pressure, is something younger generations can't buy, no matter how hard they try. You've earned it. Now, there's another change many seniors notice after 80. It's something you might not expect. Your senses become more selective. You might not hear or see as sharply, but your ability to feel becomes sharper. You sense kindness faster. You recognize sincerity in someone's tone. You know when someone's pretending to care and when they truly do. It's as if your heart becomes your main sense organ. And that's not weakness. It's refinement. Your intuition becomes your compass. Science calls this emotional intelligence. But let's be honest. It's just life experience doing its job. You've seen patterns. You've watched people come and go. You've learned how to read silence. That's why so many older people become softer, gentler, wiser. They're not naive. They're selective about where to spend their spirit. You stop wasting energy on what drains you. You give your time only to what fills you. Then comes another quiet shift. Your relationship with time itself changes. When you were young, time was something to chase. You planned everything. Tomorrow, next month, next year. But now the future doesn't hold the same grip. You stop living for someday and start living for today. You eat the dessert. You wear the nice clothes. You say the kind words while you can. You don't wait for perfect moments. You make them out of imperfect days. And the funny thing is, once you start living like that, life feels bigger, not smaller. Because at 80, you understand that every day you wake up is a win. People talk about anti-aging, but maybe they've got it backward. Maybe the real goal is pro-living. It's not about fighting time. It's about using it well. You start moving your body, not to impress anyone, but to keep the machine running. You walk because it feels good. You stretch because it helps. You breathe deeply because oxygen is free medicine. You begin to treat your body like a loyal friend, not a project to fix, but a partner to care for. And yes, some days are harder. Some mornings the joints refuse to cooperate. Some nights the sleep just won't come. Some memories hurt, but you start learning to say, that's all right. I've had harder days, and I'm still here. That kind of resilience becomes your superpower. It's what keeps you going when your body slows down. Because let's face it, aging doesn't just happen to your muscles and bones. It happens to your mind, too. But the good news is, your brain doesn't stop growing. That's a scientific fact. It keeps forming new connections as long as you keep using it. The trick? Stay curious. Read. Learn. Ask questions. Try something new, even if it's small, like using a new phone app or cooking a recipe you've never tried before. Every time you learn something new, your brain builds new pathways, and that keeps you younger inside. So instead of worrying about forgetting names or misplacing your glasses, celebrate what your brain can still do. You can still think, reason, love, laugh, and feel. That's incredible. You see, aging doesn't erase your value, it reveals it. You become living history. You are someone's storybook, someone's comfort, someone's proof that a long life can still be a meaningful one. When you talk, people listen differently. Not because you're loud, but because your words carry weight. You've seen what others haven't. You've made it through things most can't imagine. And that gives your voice a kind of authority no degree can offer. But perhaps the most profound thing that happens at 80 is that you begin to simplify your idea of happiness. You stop searching for reasons to be happy, and start noticing that happiness has always been sitting quietly next to you. A good cup of tea. A warm ray of sunlight through the curtain, a friendly face at the grocery store, a letter from your granddaughter. These small moments start feeling like treasures. You realize that happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you notice. And when you notice it often enough, gratitude takes over. Every day begins to feel like a miracle. You wake up and think, I get to see another morning. Not I have to, but I get to. That small shift changes everything. Even your health benefits from it. Research has shown that older adults who practice daily gratitude have stronger immune systems, lower stress hormones, and better heart health. So yes, saying thank you is medicine. But not the kind you swallow, it's the kind you feel. And when you start looking for things to be thankful for, you'll find more of them. Life starts to feel softer, more generous. Of course, there are still moments of frustration. Maybe your hands aren't as steady or your steps aren't as quick. But you learn patience. You give yourself grace. You stop comparing yourself to the person you used to be, and you start appreciating the person you've become. Because that person has survived. That person has grown. That person is still learning. At 80, you understand that perfection is a myth and peace is real. And here's something else. Many people at this age find a deeper sense of spirituality. Not necessarily religion, though for some it is, but a feeling of connection to something bigger. It could be nature, or love, or just the quiet awareness that life itself is a mystery you're part of. You stop needing all the answers. You start feeling grateful for the questions. When you see the sunset, you don't ask, how many more will I get? You simply whisper, thank you for this one. That's when aging becomes sacred. Because the truth is, every year after 80 isn't just survival, it's grace. It's borrowed time from the universe, gently reminding you to savor every moment. You begin to realize that the greatest adventure was never out there. It was always inside you. And even if your world becomes smaller, your inner world grows vast. You notice that conversations become more meaningful at this stage. You're no longer interested in gossip, competition, or who's doing better. You want to talk about real things. Memories, family, faith, nature, laughter, even the silly things that used to make you laugh until your stomach hurt. You find yourself wanting depth instead of noise. Fewer people, but better people. Fewer words, but more honesty. That's another quiet transformation that happens around 80. Your circle gets smaller, but your heart gets bigger. You stop chasing people who don't care. You stop explaining yourself. You stop pretending to be okay when you're not. Instead, you start surrounding yourself with calm souls, the kind of people who bring light instead of drama. And if you don't have many people around, that's okay too. You start discovering something powerful. Solitude isn't loneliness. When you were younger, being alone felt empty. Now it feels peaceful. You can sit by the window with a cup of tea, watching the clouds drift, and feel perfectly content. You don't need anyone to entertain you. Your memories are enough. That's the magic of being 80. You become your own company. You can spend hours in silence and still feel full, because your mind becomes a library of stories, and every shelf is filled with treasures. You remember your first job, your first love, the smell of your childhood home, the sound of your parents' laughter. Those memories don't fade. They keep you alive inside. And when someone younger sits with you, maybe a grandchild or a neighbor, you notice how they lean closer when you talk. They might not say it, but they feel it. Your calmness, your experience, your grace. That's the power of age. You become a living reminder that life goes on, that storms pass, and that gentleness is not weakness. It's wisdom refined by time. And even when your body slows, your presence grows stronger. You carry peace like a soft light. People feel safer around you. They come to you not for advice, but for comfort. That's when you realize you don't have to do much to matter. You already matter by being here. But the truth is, not every day feels like peace. There are days when your body hurts more than usual, when the house feels too quiet, when you miss voices that used to fill the air. Those are the days when your heart aches for what once was. The laughter around the dinner table, the sound of footsteps that no longer echo in the hall. You might sit there staring at an old photo, and for a moment, time folds in on itself. You can almost hear them again. And that's okay. Missing someone doesn't mean you're stuck in the past. It means your love never expired. You start realizing that grief isn't an enemy. It's love, with nowhere to go. And once you understand that, even grief becomes softer. You start talking to your memories like old friends. "I miss you," you whisper, "but I'm okay." You learn to live with the empty chair at the table, and somehow the emptiness starts to feel less heavy. Because somewhere deep down, you know they're not gone. They've just moved into your heart, and from there, they never leave. As time passes, something even more surprising happens. You start feeling young again, not in body, but in spirit. It's strange, but true. When you reach a certain age, you start letting go of things that weighed you down for decades. Regret, guilt, competition, they stop mattering. You forgive yourself for mistakes. You forgive others, too. And that forgiveness feels like youth. It gives you energy. It frees up space inside you for joy to return. You might laugh more. You might sing while cooking. You might find yourself dancing slowly to an old song you haven't heard in years. And for a moment, time disappears. You're not 80. You're just alive. That's the kind of freedom that no one can take from you. But let's be real. Aging isn't all light and laughter. There are appointments, pills, tests, and the constant reminder that your body needs a bit more attention than before. Still, you learn to approach it differently. You stop seeing healthcare as a burden and start seeing it as self-respect. You take your medicine not out of fear but out of gratitude. For the doctors, for the science, for the chance to stay alive. You go for walks not because someone told you to, but because you enjoy the air. You stretch your hands and feel the blood moving, and it feels like life itself is saying hello. You start noticing your heartbeat, your breath, your steps, and you whisper, "Thank you." Because after 80, health isn't about perfection, it's about participation. It's about staying in the game. Every day you wake up and take that first breath, you've already won. You see, turning 80 doesn't make you fragile, it makes you aware. You notice the small things that others overlook. The softness of a pillow, the sweetness of fruit, the warmth of sunlight on your face. And when you start paying attention to these little gifts, life begins to sparkle again. Even your humor changes. You laugh easier, even at yourself. You stop taking life so seriously because you finally understand that none of us get out of it alive. And that's what makes it precious. You laugh at the things that used to embarrass you. You forget where you put your glasses, and instead of getting angry, you smile and say, "Well, at least I remembered what glasses are for." That's wisdom disguised as humor. People who can still laugh at 80 have discovered something important. Laughter is proof that the soul is still young. And sometimes, when you laugh, you notice others laughing with you, not because it's funny, but because it's beautiful to see joy in someone who's lived this long. You become a kind of quiet inspiration without even trying. Your wrinkles tell stories. Your eyes hold peace. Your voice carries experience. And that's when it hits you. This is what it means to truly live. Not to have everything perfect, not to stay young forever, but to love, to feel, to fall, to rise, and to still wake up grateful for one more sunrise. Because once you turn 80, you start seeing the miracle in the ordinary. The way your hands still move, the way your heart still beats, the way the world keeps offering beauty, even on quiet days. You start realizing that growing old isn't a tragedy. It's an accomplishment. It's a privilege denied to many. And when you see it that way, fear disappears. In its place comes peace. The kind of peace that can only come from knowing you've lived enough, loved enough, and learned enough. And when all is said and done, when the house is quiet and the day begins to fade, you sit there in that stillness and realize something powerful. You've made it through everything you once thought you couldn't. You've outlived your worries, your doubts, your younger fears. You've proven again and again that the human heart can bend without breaking. Turning 80 isn't a warning, it's a celebration. It's your chance to live honestly, without pretending, without rushing, without fear. You've earned your peace, you've earned your slower mornings, you've earned your laughter lines, your stories, your naps, your tears, your silence. You are not old, you are seasoned. You are a masterpiece that time has been gently painting for 8 decades. And no matter how many candles sit on your cake, life still burns brightly inside you. So go ahead, smile more, eat dessert first sometimes, sit under the sun, call someone you miss, forgive freely, speak softly, hug tightly, because you're not living what's left of life. You're living the best part of it, the part where every minute counts, every memory matters, and every heartbeat feels like a small miracle. Once you turn 80, yes, many things change, whether you like it or not. But maybe, just maybe, those changes are the universe's way of slowing you down so you can finally see how beautiful this life has always been. So, take another deep breath. Feel that? That's life still loving you back. You are still here. You are still needed. And you are still enough, exactly as you are.